We're joined now by one of Erik and Lyle Menendez's attorneys, Mark Geragos. Mark, good morning to you. Have you spoken to Lyle and Erik since this happened, and what's their reaction?
Well, I think I had already prepared him for it. I mean, this DA had made up his mind. Mind you, there were 22 family members who signed on, who met with the DA's office, who told them, stop re-traumatizing us. We could tell at that meeting that he had no interest in that. This really kind of points out one of the fallacies, if you will, of kind of the DA's office here. They're not interested in the victims. They didn't let the victims know that they were going to make this decision. We figured they probably would when he hired one certain person in connection to head victim services. There isn't a single living victim who endorses this. In fact, every single victim, as Anna Maria just stated in the package leading up to this, want them out. This gentleman, this DA, re-traumatizes the family repeatedly. Well, he's almost serially abusing them with his lies and his litany of lies.
Well, let me ask you this, Mark, because in a sense, this is rather straightforward. He lists 16 different lies that the brothers have yet to acknowledge, and says if they would sincerely acknowledge these lies, he would reconsider. Would you take him up on that?
Savannah, let me tell you something. He obviously, he's showboating. He knows for a fact both brothers were cross-examined for weeks in the first trial.
If he's showboating, why not call their bluff?
Savannah, just hold on for a second. Every single one of those things that he mentioned was either abandoned or was cross-examined on in the first trial. And guess what happened? Two juries, not one for Erik, one for Lyle. Both juries voted against murder over the majority. And let me tell you one other thing. He keeps saying they were claiming self-defense. They were not claiming self-defense. They were claiming what was called imperfect self-defense, which meant that jurors who heard all the evidence, not somebody 30 years later recasting this case with a bunch of nonsense that was rejected, which was what the DA was doing, but jurors heard this and they rejected it. All this was basically a rehash of the opening statement from 30 years ago by Pam Bozanich. Jurors listened to that. Jurors rejected it. He's just trotting out the same old things, and he's re-traumatizing the family.
the jurors did convict. I mean, he was saying that they claimed
the jury didn't convict. Savannah, if you're going to make statements, understand what you're saying. The first jury did not convict.
That was a hung jury. I know.
There was two hungs. Then the judge took away imperfect self-defense. He basically directed a verdict the second time around.
Well, that's right, but they did claim at trial that they feared for their lives, and that was the reason for the murder.
That was all the evidence that was presented at the first trial was truncated and not presented at the second trial.
Okay, so here let's
get the facts out there. Let's not do what he did and just reinvent facts.
Well, okay. Well, let's set that aside for the moment, because as you say, you don't want to litigate the past. You want to go forward. Do you believe that the clemency petition is now your best bet for freedom for these brothers?
No, I don't. I actually think that we've got a habeas that's still alive. We've got a resentencing, which is still scheduled for the 20th and 21st, and we have the clemency. And by the way, he can withdraw. He can say he wants to withdraw. It isn't his decision. All that was grandstanding by somebody who acknowledged when a couple of people asked him the question, wait a second, the DA's office already invoked this. And by the way, there's a case that says you can't withdraw unless you show certain factors, and you haven't talked about any of those factors.
He mentions this case of Sirhan, the DA does. Now, that was a case that the parole board, this is the person who was convicted of killing RFK Jr. And it's relevant because he was granted release by the parole board, and Governor Gavin Newsom, the very person who will decide the brothers' fate, looked at that case, reversed the parole board and said, no, he hasn't taken enough responsibility. Do you see a parallel there? And does that tell you anything about what you need to do for Governor Newsom?
Savannah, that was a parole hearing. That wasn't a resentencing.
But
They're
the
two
governor,
different things.
fair enough, but
No,
it's the governor's
listen
decision.
to me, Savannah. You can't go and say, I'm going to pick up an issue of a parole hearing and what was said in the parole hearing after the parole board acted and say, okay, now I want to take those statements and I want to apply them to a resentencing hearing, which is a completely different legal
Well, I'm
proceeding.
talking, correct, but
That
we're
is
talking about
why
clemency.
that-
We're talking about a
Savannah,
clemency petition, not a resentencing, something in the hands of Governor Newsom, who perhaps has shown that he wants to see this
Savannah.
acknowledgement. I'm just asking you if that changes your strategy at all.
And what I'm asking you, Savannah, is if you want to talk about, which is what we started, the press conference that had to do with resentencing, what I'm telling you is you took the bait, just like the DA did, and started talking about a parole hearing when what the DA was up there, presumably doing his dog and pony show, was about a resentencing hearing. They're two different proceedings, as you said.
Which I'm
There's
trying to.
three different avenues.
I'm trying
One
to change.
doesn't have anything to do with
I understand. I'm trying to move the discussion to the avenue now before you,
That's
which
fine.
is commutation
If
with the
you wanna
governor,
talk-
and whether you think that the brothers need to do anything to increase their chances of release, which is in the unilateral decision of the governor. That is the question.
No,
it's not about
it
those other
isn't.
hearings. This is separate.
Okay, and once again, just so that we don't confuse people, and I understand why you're confused, because you listen to the DA could be confused and try to confuse the public. You accurately said there are three different proceedings. One is the habeas. We're fighting that. One is the resentencing, scheduled for later this month. A third one is a potential clemency. Saran was neither of the last two, and arguably had something to do with the parole board. But that is not what we're talking about. It was not what the press conference was about. All that was a distraction, which worked well because now you're asking me about it.
Well, I don't have time to. This is fun, and it reminds me of the old court TV days with you, Mark. And we could, if I had 10 more minutes, we would meet.
Because I was going to say the same thing. It's easier to be a legal commentator than it is to actually try a case and have to adhere to legal standards.
True. But I think I made my point and you made yours, so we'll leave it there until the next time, Mark. Thank you so much.
You got it, Savannah. Thank you.
Just to be clear, we are talking about three different proceedings, and I was asking him about the clemency proceeding and Governor Newsom, who has the unilateral say over that.
Newsom can decide whatever he wants to do.
He can decide what he wants, and I think that the question is, has he shown some proclivity for wanting to see more acknowledgement from defendants before he releases someone in whatever legal proceeding you're dealing with? Oh, my gosh, people got more than they bargained for today.
I was going to say, we all get a law degree for that one.
Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, you can catch the Today Show every morning on NBC or take Today when you're on the go. Just follow the Today podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.